Hi there, this is David Harris from Clarion project, and as you can see I've got someone with me. This is Meir, who is our expert on all things Middle Eastern. We're bringing you this video today in the wake of an incident that took place overnight between Yemen and Saudi Arabia, in this case the Houthis, who are a Shiite Iranian-backed organisation, fired numerous ballistic missiles in the direction of Saudi Arabia, several cities. In what happened afterwards, which Ran is going to explain in a minute, a Saudi was killed. To the best of our knowledge, it's the first time that a Saudi inside Saudi Arabia has been killed as a result of the civil war inside Yemen, which is also being fought between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Now, I've probably taken a lot of what you wanted to say away from you, but fill us in on the details, the background and so on.
Okay, so we have this civil war going on in Yemen for the last, let's say, 3 years. So today it's the so-called celebration of the 3rd anniversary of the intervention of Saudi Arabia in Yemen. So the Houthis decided to make a stand and to show them that they still have power, they can react. So the first time that we did it, it was in last November. The Houthis shot a ballistic missiles into Saudi Arabia. It was intercepted. And what we saw today, they shot no less than 7 ballistic missiles. Some of them were pointed towards Riyadh, and they claimed that the others were towards different airports inside Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia claims that all of the missiles were at residential areas. Now, as a result of that, probably one of the missiles that was intercepted, a part of it hit a residential area.
So an incoming missile, it's hit by the defensive missile from the Saudis, the debris falls to the ground.
Yes, and as a result, one person is killed. Fortunately or unfortunately, he's not a Saudi, he's an Egyptian. So he was instantly killed, and 2 of his family were injured, and the other were just damages. No one else was hurt. But this is the first time we saw massive attacks of ballistic missiles from the Houthis. They said that they did it on purpose on the 3rd anniversary for the intervention of Saudi Arabia in their country.
Just as an aside, there are also reports that the people killed were actually hit by an errant defensive missile from the Saudis, just went in the wrong direction. Either way, they are victims of this ongoing fight. Why should anybody in the West, in the United States, actually care about this?
Well, let's ask ourselves, where does the Houthis get ballistic missiles? Do they produce it themselves? They have money to buy them? No, it's Iran giving them missiles to promote her targets. Iran can't fight directly against Saudi Arabia because it will lead to a war, a very hard war in the Middle East. So what she's doing, she gives to her proxies and her allies missiles and tell them, use them against Saudi Arabia, and it's also good for you. So if now they're doing it in Yemen against Saudi Arabia, who can say that they won't do it tomorrow at Europe against countries that sanction her, or in America through Hezbollah, maybe in South America?
So we're already reporting about Hezbollah, which is an Iranian-backed organisation, it having a terror cell in the United States that was broken up by the FBI. We also know that Hezbollah is working with drug cartels across Latin America, not just in terms of the drugs, but also in terms of arms and so on. We also had a report, and it's a little bit of an aside, that there's a Cuban who was arrested in Colombia working on behalf of ISIS, which I realise is a different story, but trying to kill American diplomats inside Colombia. So you've got a whole move of these Islamist organisations, and predominantly Iranian-backed, into Latin America, which is a hop, skip and jump away from Florida.
Mm-hmm. We can also see it as an experiment. Iran is shooting through the Houthis 7 ballistic missiles on a country which is her enemy, and the Saudis also an ally of the US, and it's experiment. What will happen? Has someone said anything? Has someone threatened me? No. Nothing happened. I've done some damages. I killed some people. No one did anything. I can continue doing it in other places as well.
Something we should probably add at this point, I know that a lot of people who follow Clarion Project closely are of the opinion that the Americans shouldn't be overly interventionist overseas. In other words, the idea is let other people deal with their own problems. That's all well and good, and in many cases that's absolutely as should be. However, there is also the opportunity for Donald Trump and, of course, the new incumbent Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, to work on Iran in terms of sanctions, in terms of making sure that its nuclear program doesn't develop, that it doesn't fuel terrorism and civil wars throughout the Middle East, and, as Ram was just pointing out, the possibility of terror attacks being launched on America from proxies operating out of countries that neighbour the United States. So lots of reasons there for concern for the United States and indeed for action from the Trump administration. Ram, thank you very much indeed for bringing us up to date on this story. And of course you can follow that and the rest of our news at the Clarion Project website, also via our Facebook and Twitter feeds. Thanks very much indeed for watching.